Alright, so welcome back to another Patreon request, and this one comes from Gordon Rajani, who asked me to do my top 10, or should I say my 10 favorite episodes from X-Men, from the original X-Men cartoon. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon and hit the third tier. That'll allow you access to see all the stuff on the other tiers, as well as allow you to send me send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started. Now, a couple things with these, favorite lists. This is just my personal favorite list. This isn't like a top 10. These are just 10 favorite episodes. I'm not going to include... This is the original cartoon. This is the X-Men... This is X-Men 92. We're not going to have any episodes from X-Men 97. So, yeah. If you're wondering why there aren't any episodes from X-Men 97, that's why. This is specifically for the original cartoon before the continuation. Just wanted to clear that. And again, if you think a episode should be on here or not, that's totally fine. I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started with the video. So, starting off, and again, this isn't a top 10 list. These are just these are just 10 episodes. And the reason why this kind of took so long to get to was because some of these episodes I couldn't remember their names off the top of my head, and I had to rewatch the show, and that's a lot of episodes to go through. So, sorry for the wait, Gordon, but this took a fucking long time. Anyway. So let's get started with the first one. And yeah, where does it start best? Then probably one of the best intros in any cartoon, Night of the Sentinels. Night of the Sentinels is probably one of the... I usually don't put the first episode of... And yes, I do have the list right here. Night of the is an interesting one because Night of the Sentinels is such a fascinating thing, because usually most first episodes I watch are just to like, oh, okay, this is just to establish everything. This is to, get us to know the characters. There isn't really anything special about it. But what makes Night of the Sentinels such a fascinating episode is that the episode itself it feels like you're in a lived-in world with Jubilee going in as our eyes in. The Sentinels make an amazing threat. It's a great way to showcase all the characters, and it also leaves on such a holy shit. Did they kill two characters? Like, we all thought Beast and Morph were dead in that episode. We thought for a good time that Beast and Morph were dead. So it was a pretty fascinating intro. It was such a cool intro to the series. Next up, we have Rogue's Tale. Rogue's Tale is basically Rogue's origin. This kind of showcases more of the Marvel Universe at large, not to say the Captain America episode didn't, but it really does showcase where Rogue came from, where Rogue got her powers, encountering Carol. It's a neat story of showcasing, telling Rogue's story, and also how her connection to Mystique goes. It's a great little story. I think this also has some of her voice actress's best acting in here, aside from 97, where I think her voice acting is goes to another level in that series. But here it's really great. Anyway, so there you go. Next up, we have now, I should also have preferenced that I won't be including parts. If it's a story arc, I'll include the whole story arc. So I should have included that, because this is going to make sense in a moment. The Phoenix Saga. Holy shit. This is one thing I love about the original X-Men cartoon, and what I've also loved about the 97 cartoon, is that this series this cartoon did a phenomenal job of doing really great adaptations, better than the live-action movies, that's for damn sure, of the comic book stories. Did they take some liberties here and there? Yes. Did they make things completely fucking stupid, like some of the live-action movies did? No. It's probably the best Phoenix Saga we've seen from any other media outside of the original story arc. So, yeah, this it was such a great story showcasing, the Shi'ar, Juggernaut's back. We get all of these great, moments with these characters, and it's just amazing, really. It's just it's a great series to showcase that some of these stories that have been timeless for X-Men fans can be told, and told right. Hopefully that'll happen in the MCU. Anyway, next up is just a personal favorite of mine. Have yourself a Moloch little Xmas. This is not a big crisis level episode. This is not an episode that has like high stakes or whatever. Sometimes you just want a feel good episode, right? Like sometimes you just want like to kick your feet back and laugh with the other characters and just enjoy, the ride, right? Like we all just want to just sit back and watch Wolverine get sprayed in the face with perfume. I think that's what I think I like about it, is that it's just so charming. It's such a charming little episode, and it's just cute. And again, this is my list, my rules. What more do you want from me? Next up, we have another story arc, Days of Future Past. Like I said with the Phoenix Saga episode, this episode does a phenomenal job, and again, the whole series does this great job of doing these great sagas and these great storylines, even though they're a little tweaked here and there. Like instead of Shadowcat, it's Bishop, but it works. Like it does work at the same time with this series, where the show really does have a really great understanding of the characters. And even though, yes, they're like, yeah, we can't use some X-Men, but we can just use the next logical choice. Like, again, Bishop's the next logical choice. And again, he was popular in the 90s comics, so, that also played a factor into it, right? Anyway, so it's another great adaptation of a classic comic, and yeah, I absolutely adore it. Following that, we have Nightcrawler, another one-and-done episode, and this was the introduction of this universe's Nightcrawler. Now, I normally don't like having religion, sometimes I see cartoons who try to ham-fist religion into the cartoon, regardless of religion, but this did it in such a fascinating way, because Kurt Wagner is religious. Here he's a monk, and here he's not like trying to convert Logan into being, religious, but he's just like, hey, and again, Logan has some great moments where like, what kind of God would allow this done to me? There's a great back and forth between Logan and Kurt, and again, showcasing Kurt who believes in the merits of religion, and then the other monk who's like the racist monk who's showcasing the wrong side of religion, like I talked about in a previous video, talking about like William Stryker. So yeah, it ends on a very nice note, even though again I'm not religious, but it does have it's one of those few times where I think having religion in the story, because again, it's fascinating because of it's always wondering like what do mutants think of God, and why would God allow all this pain and suffering, especially done to mutants, if he loves everybody, right? Anyway, next up is Repo Man. Sorry about the chair. Repo Man is another episode. This is a Wolverine-centric episode that showcases the Alpha Flight, and basically also shows Wolverine's origin as well. It's a great fight between him and Alpha Flight, and it's a great origin story for Wolverine too. I think Logan has some of the best one-liners in here. I really adore just his usual, just absolute badassery in this this cartoon is probably why, more than the comics, why people love Wolverine. And I usually sometimes point to this episode. Next up, we have Out of the Past. Out of the Past showcases Yuriko as Lady Deathstrike, and also has and that's not the reason why we remember this episode. The reason we really remember this episode, or at least I do, is that there is this Shi'ar ship that contains an energy being that eats consciousness, in almost like a Lovecraftian monster. There's a moment where it consumes Jubilee's mind, and it's like, Wolverine, Gambit, help! And it's such a disturbing moment. So it's like a horror story, and not an episode not a lot of people remember, but it's such a great little Lovecraft story, in my opinion. Next up, we have Proteus. Proteus is, again, another adaptation of a story arc from the comics, and this one is, again, another personal taste where the animation really showcases the Proteus's reality-altering powers. Proteus is more than capable of just tearing people apart from the inside out. Like, I love that moment where where Wolverine tries to act big and tough and try to stop him, and then he just rips Wolverine apart at the atomic level, and Wolverine's just like, he's in tears and freaked out. And some people I find online is like, why is Wolverine being such a bitch? And I'm like, I don't know about you, but if I got torn apart at the subatomic level, I'd bitch cry too. But that's just me. And finally, Externally Yours. Externally Yours is the episode where Gambit reveals that, hey, I had a wife named Belladonna, and it was for he basically explains his whole origin, and this is another great showcase of Remy and, like, his fun, and also the relationship between him and Rogue. It's another great story arc from, I think, from the 90s X-Men comics. It's another great adaptation. The only thing it's missing is the Brood and Ghost Rider. Yeah, that was in the story arc too. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much my 10 favorite episodes from X-Men the Animated Series. You guys tell me in the comments below, what are your 10 favorite episodes from X-Men the Animated Series? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, I'd like to thank Gordon Rajani for this episode, for this Patreon request. And like I said, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done as well, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier, and go from there. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.